We begin, though, this morning with the developing situation in the Minneapolis suburb of Brooklyn Center, Minnesota.
Overnight protests erupted in the area after an officer-involved shooting. Police shot a young black man who then died. State officials say they are mobilizing the Minnesota National Guard at the request of local authorities. The shooting happened during a traffic stop Sunday afternoon a few miles outside of Minneapolis. This comes against the backdrop of the trial of ex-officer Derek Chauvin, which is now entering week 3. Chauvin is accused of killing George Floyd last year, a death that also sparked protests. Let's get right to NBC News correspondent Shaquille Brewster in Minneapolis. So, Shaq, let's start with that officer-involved shooting in Brooklyn Center. What do we know about what happened, and how are the community and the police there responding?
Well, Joe, good morning. Police say they were effecting a traffic stop yesterday at around 2 p.m. They say that when they approached the driver, they realized the driver had an outstanding warrant and he tried to get back in the car at some point. And that's when they say one of the officers involved fired his weapon, hitting the driver of that vehicle. Demonstrators on scene, the family says the name of that person, it's 20-year-old. His name is Dante Wright. You saw immediate backlash, immediate protests at the scene last night, and some reports of looting and demonstrations last night. According to one report, about 20 businesses got looted last night. We saw the mayor and the governor respond overnight. Look at this tweet from the governor. He says that he's monitoring the situation in Brooklyn Center, which, as I mentioned, is just about 15 minutes from where I'm standing right now outside of the courthouse. The governor says that he's monitoring the situation. His wife and he are praying for Dante Wright's family as the state mourns another life of a black man taken by law enforcement. We also know the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension is also involved in this investigation. Another tense situation as, of course, the trial of Derek Chauvin is underway.
And you mentioned we know Dante Wright's name because his family spoke out near the scene yesterday. What are they saying about what happened?
Well, his mom was distraught. She was there in the moments after his death as protesters and demonstrators were gathering. She says that she got a call from him that afternoon saying that he just got pulled over because of some air fresheners that he had in the rearview mirror. She says that on the phone call, he asked for the registration information because this was a car that she just gave to him about 2 weeks ago. And she said that's when she heard an officer say, "Stop running," randomly. And then she said the phone call ended shortly thereafter. So still a lot of details that we need to know, still more details we need to find out. But we saw protests gather at the police station in Brooklyn Center. We also heard reports of shots fired in Brooklyn Park, which was about 5 minutes away from there. So still a lot more we need to know as the situation unfolds.
And Shaq, quickly, we do believe someone was in the car with Dante Wright, correct?
That's correct. We know an officer say that there was at least one other passenger in the vehicle. His mother says that was his girlfriend. She was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. And then it's also possible, and this is another detail we're still waiting on, that his son was in the car. We know he had a 1 or 2 year old son who might have been in that car. His family is saying that obviously that is another element to this. Dante Wright now, or his son now without a father.
Shaq, let's turn to the murder trial against Derek Chauvin. So far, 35 witnesses have been called. The prosecution is preparing to rest its case early this week. How will they wrap up their arguments?
Yeah, we're expecting we can be just possibly hours away from the prosecution resting their case in this trial of Derek Chauvin. They don't give us an exact layout of who they'll call, but we know there was one witness who didn't get called last week, and that was the cardiologist. A cardiologist who will come and, according to those opening statements, will testify to how he believes that it was the Derek Chauvin and the physical restraints that led to George Floyd's death. We also know that we'll hear from the family, a family member of George Floyd who will come and take the stand at some point before the prosecution rests their case. We heard from our colleague, Reverend Al Sharpton. He said that family member was Phalonis Floyd. The prosecution is not explaining or not expressing exactly who that will be. So we do expect to hear from a family member of George Floyd. And then whenever the prosecution rests their case, we know that this will go into the defense. The defense will start making their case and start laying out their witnesses before we get to the point where the jury will start deliberating.
Lots to cover in Minnesota this morning. Shaq Brewster, thanks so much.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.